Welcome to the Fraud Files. Before we dive into today's episode, make sure to hit that follow button. Don't miss out on unraveling the mysteries with us every week. If you're a CPA like me, you can earn CPE credit for listening to this podcast. All you have to do is answer the course questions at FloQademy.com. That's FloQademy.com. The link is in the show description. Enjoy.
Previously on the Fraud Files.
Hello, officers. May I help you?
Your investment advisor is running a Ponzi scheme. What if I told you that she was never in China?
Brad, we only have to hold out a little longer. I couldn't do this without you.
Okay, Dawn, but I can only make excuses for so long. This can't go on forever.
FBI, put your hands up! We have a search warrant! Get on the ground now!
Sir, we recovered this in the study.
Hold your tongue, Spell.
Episode 6, Dawn's Day of Reckoning.
Agent Custer, over. We have eyes on target. Alpha team, stand by and wait for my order. Go!
Freeze, FBI! Put your hands where I can see them!
What? What's going on?
Dawn J. Bennett, you are under arrest for committing violations of United States Code Sections 1343, 1344, and 1014. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you.
Dawn was arrested on August 25th, 2017, the day after Agent Custer secured a warrant for her arrest.
They acted fast.
They did, although the process to get there was anything but fast. Agent Custer was tipped off by the SEC in December of 2015 and only gathered enough proof to get an arrest warrant on August 24th, 2017. That's almost a 2-year process.
Do fraud cases generally take that long to uncover?
There's tons of variability in how long it takes law enforcement to put a case together. But a 2-year investigation is not unusual for a story like this. I don't know if the length of time and Dawn's ability to lie are actually correlated, but her knack for twisting the narrative certainly couldn't have helped the investigation.
She was a mastermind at that.
Not only was Dawn arrested on August 25th, 2017, but the SEC also filed a related action against Dawn J. Bennett, DJB Holdings, and DJBennett.com on that date. They alleged violations of the Securities Exchange Act of 1933 and 1934.
Justice is coming for Dawn.
It was, but by now you should know that Dawn was nothing if not persistent. She still had a few tricks up her sleeve. On January 2nd, 2018, she made an unusual request.
We, the legal counsel for Dawn J. Bennett, make a formal request for an earlier trial date due to her pre-trial detention.
Professor Pope, what's pre-trial detention?
Pre-trial detention, also known as preventative detention, provisional detention, or remand, is the process of detaining a person until their trial date. Dawn was being held in custody and wanted to get out of jail, so she requested her date be expedited. The fact that she wanted it moved up suggested that she likely didn't think she'd end up getting convicted.
In considering the complexity of this case, a co-defendant's request for a latter trial date, and the prejudice to the government, the district court schedules the jury selection for September 4, 2018. Dismissed.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from Dawn J. Bennett, an inmate at Chesapeake Detention Facility. To accept charges, press 1.
Hello, David. This is Dawn.
Dawn, I'm sorry, but I just don't have time for a client who doesn't pay any of their invoices.
My assets are fucking frozen, David. Obviously, I'll pay all of your invoices once I get out of here and get them unfrozen.
Will you? Looking at your financial history with creditors indicates otherwise.
What do you mean? You're supposed to get me acquitted from those charges. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're the fucking lawyer. Get your shit together and do some legal work. What do I pay you for?
That's the point. You don't pay me. Listen, I just don't think this is working out. I don't work pro bono. I'm terminating this relationship effective immediately.
you'll need to find another attorney to represent you.
No. You are not firing me. I am Dawn J. Bennett. You can't fire me. Hello?
After her attorney left her, Dawn got assigned a public defender. As a result, they moved the trial date to October 2nd, 2019.
The defendant may speak.
Your Honor, thank you for this opportunity to make my case. I would like to formally request another continuance due to health issues and problems with my attorney.
The district court has already made quite a few accommodations for you to be prepared for trial, Miss Bennett. These include allowing you to review discovery at the courthouse 2 days a week for 6 hours each day, and ordering the government to produce a variety of evidence and hot docs on a rolling basis. It does not appear that there are any additional case facts present that would require a district court to revisit its decision.
I am very grateful for all the district court has done, but you see, I'm in a very difficult time from a health perspective. I'm fearful for my life.
Miss Bennett, you have chosen not to participate in your defense, and chosen to make issues that thwart your cooperation with defense counsel and the orderly progression of this case.
Your Honor, I was not well. You have to understand my predicament. This is not a normal situation for me. I am in dire stress.
Therefore, the district court denies this motion to continue.
But...
Court dismissed.
Wait, I'm confused. I know this isn't Law 101, but she's trying to get her trial postponed, and that's called a motion to continue?
Correct. A motion to continue means that a party requests for the postponement of a court proceeding. Dawn went from wanting to get her trial pushed up to wanting to delay it.
So what changed her mind?
Reality was likely sinking in for Dawn at this point. She probably realized that she didn't have much of a case. That, coupled with her lawyer quitting on her, had her up against the wall. She needed more time to re-strategize.
But her motion to continue was denied, so it didn't work.
Well, it didn't stop her from trying. And naturally, the next thing she did was something she was very good at.
What? Lying?
Good guess, but not quite right. She went shopping, but not for shoes.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from Dawn J. Bennett, an inmate at Chesapeake Detention Facility. To accept charges, press 1.
Hello, is this Fred?
It is.
Hi, my name is Dawn J. Bennett, and I've been wrongly imprisoned. I'm in the market for a lawyer.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from Dawn J. Bennett.
Hi, my name is Dawn J. Bennett, CEO of Bennett Group Financial Services, which is the top 1% of investment firms worldwide. Do you have a moment to speak now? I'm in the market for an attorney.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from...
Hi, this is Dawn Bennett, Dawn J. Bennett, finance guru, radio personality. Would you be interested in taking on a high-profile client?
After a few weeks and lots of supervised phone calls, Dawn found a new attorney. On August 29th, 2018, Dawn's new legal representation filed another motion to continue, stating Dawn had difficulty retaining counsel of her choosing because of her incarceration and the freezing of her assets. He also indicated that there were several important issues that the trial counsel needed to investigate prior to proceeding to trial, including retaining experts on the valuation of Bennett's business and locating and interviewing exculpatory witnesses.
So, did it work?
It did not, and things got a bit dramatic.
And what is the basis for this motion to continue?
The defendant had difficulty retaining counsel of her choosing because of her incarceration and the freezing of her assets. There were several important issues that the trial counsel needs to investigate prior to proceeding to trial, including retaining experts on the valuation of the defendant's business and locating and interviewing exculpatory witnesses.
Would the government representative please make their case?
The government opposes this motion. We would like to note that trial counsel is the 10th counsel to enter an appearance on Miss Dawn J. Bennett's behalf. Furthermore, all of the remaining work is work that could have been done and likely was done by prior counsel.
If I deny your motion to continue, what will you be doing in this case, Lawyer 10?
Well, we would want to ensure that we are fully informed to prepare our defense.
The district court can assist trial counsel in obtaining discovery.
I would tell you that discovery is not a problem, and we can review the discovery and be prepared.
After analyzing Miss Bennett's arguments, and the government's opposition. The district court hereby denies the motion to continue. The district court notes that moving the trial date would allow a defendant with financial means to upset the administration of justice by claiming to locate money right before trial, hiring new counsel, and then having the newly hired counsel claim they cannot be ready for the previously scheduled trial.
Dawn's basically trying to run a con on the court system to delay the trial. She's incessant.
Well, it seems as though Judge Zenas saw through her attempts to delay the trial. It certainly did not help matters that she was on her 10th attorney. Now, what was causing the rotating door of attorneys? I'd probably attribute it to Dawn's personality and her frozen assets.
Okay, what's Dawn's motivation here? To keep filing the motion to continue? Tire them out?
That technique did seem to work on her clients, so perhaps that's what she was up to. The funny thing is, it didn't end there. Trial counsel filed another motion to continue, this time based on Bennett's need for medical treatment. At a September 13th, 2018 pretrial conference, the district court addressed the motion.
It would be fundamentally unfair to continue the trial, especially in light of the fact that the only new medical information that we have been provided was regarding a concerning lump, but one that even the medical providers have noted as benign. The court acknowledges that Miss Dawn J. Bennett needs to receive follow-up medical treatment, including an MRI, but finds that she would have access to that care prior to trial. Dismissed.
So for the last time, Dawn is denied the motion to continue.
Wow, finally! So now we get into the trial.
Well, not yet. A few months later, the government moved to amend the preliminary order to include specific property to partially satisfy the money judgment. However, the total monetary amount of the requested forfeiture did not change.
What does that mean?
I'll let Dawn explain.
This is a prepaid call from Dawn J. Bennett, an inmate at Chesapeake Detention Facility. To accept charges, press 1.
They can't go after my untainted assets, can they?
Well, technically, they can. But we can fight it. And we will fight it.
This is such a nightmare.
What's the difference between tainted assets and untainted assets?
People charged with fraud have a right to spend their own untainted money to hire a lawyer, as ruled by the Supreme Court. Essentially, untainted assets simply mean assets that have no connection to the crime.
But Dawn was spending her money on a lawyer.
Lawyers. She definitely hired more attorneys than most people would. So the government wanted to freeze Dawn's untainted assets. They likely saw she was abusing the rules and wanted to stop it.
The government moves to amend the preliminary order in Dawn J. Bennett's case to include specific property to partially satisfy the money judgment.
Does the defendant's counsel have anything to share?
We do. We formally oppose this motion as to the extent that the government's seizure of Miss Bennett's unattained assets in January was made pursuant to United States Code Section 853E1 or an analogous statutory provision. Such seizure exceeded its statutory authority.
Do you have anything further to add?
No, Your Honor.
The district court hereby grants the government's motion, holding that the requested amount reflected the proceeds of the violation.
But Your Honor.
Dismissed.
The district court ruled that Dawn's untainted assets were now frozen, which meant she no longer had free spending money to pay the army of lawyers she was assembling. Of course, Dawn was not happy about this.
Are you fucking kidding me? How the fuck am I supposed to pay your fees now? You do realize you lost your own goddamn money, right? This has gotta be a joke.
Dawn, you still have to pay my fees. And you will, because we are going to win this thing.
We fucking better, Lawyer 10. We fucking better!
On October 2nd, 2018, the trial began. It was a long trial with many, many victim statements. The jury heard from a receptionist at a doctor's office, a realtor, an attorney, a retired bridal consultant, a retired travel agent, a retired secretary from the World Bank, a retired government contractor, and a retired FBI agent.
Would the witness please make their statement? That was my retirement. for my health care needs. Where is the $26 million to pay for all your own bills? What kind of person is so callous?
I would like to see the maximum sentence imposed. She betrayed my trust, the trust of my family, and the trust of many others here.
To disclose my situation was incredibly emotional and embarrassing, Judge.
Never have we taken elaborate vacations, bought expensive cars, jewels, furniture, etc. Living within our means was our only way we could prepare for our future, and Dawn lost all of our retirement savings.
The prosecution would provide so many victim statements and first-hand accounts that they filled the trial. So much so, there was never any mention of the hoodoo practices during the trial. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, lawyer number 10's defense was, well, interesting.
DJBennett.com is akin to Amazon. It was a startup that someday would have been a huge success had it been given the time to flourish. Dawn had sunk millions of her own money into the endeavor. Why would anyone want to do such a thing if they didn't think it would pay off? Of course it was going to pay off. It was only a matter of time. This business, that had it been given the time and financial means to continue to build itself up, would have resulted in a global brand. And Dawn knew this because she was a smart woman. All the facts from her radio show, to her interviews, to the awards she won as a financial advisor all prove this fact. Dawn was a genius. A woman ahead of her time, and someone who is now being targeted by a small group of individuals that simply do not understand her vision. The company was going to be profitable, and that too, very profitable. It just wasn't given the chance. Dawn simply was not given the chance.
Dawn's clients gave her chances. Some gave her multiple chances. And over 46 individuals hardly constitutes a small group.
You see, that's where you're getting it wrong. Dawn's character was morally sound. And Your Honor just touched on some of the things that I was going to touch on, which is, obviously she comes from a very hard-working, loving family. They all have a very strong work ethic. They grew up together in a very close, loving, and supportive situation. I think what struck me about it was that they wrote about Dawn, which was that, she was essentially the glue to the family. Sort of the wrangler of them in terms of keeping people together, keeping them in touch, keeping them part of the family in which Your Honor referred to with respect to Sky Bennett, which is Miss Bennett's nephew. Even after the divorce, where her brother divorced Sky's mom, she was the one who kept Sky. And this is coming from Sky's letter to you. She was the one that kept Sky close to the family and involved and coming to all of the different events and made, to feel part of the family still. And that's Dawn to all of these people. I think people look at her and at the hard-headedness and the stubbornness and the sort of independence that she has, and she is all of those things, I think, and people recognize that. Despite growing up in a loving family, she was in a very abusive relationship when she was in the college at the University of Utah, where that culminated in her partner throwing her down the stairs, and she suffered injuries. But what Steele wrote about it was that from that time on in college, she never relied on a man or a partner to support her. I don't think she ever really trusted that anyone would take care of her after that. She went at life and her career on her own, and I think that is largely why she has this sort of, independent streak, where she does what, she's an entrepreneur who is very, hard-headed and positive that what she's doing is right. She was trying to build a company and thought that she would be able to someday, do everything that was needed in order to make this into a financial success story.
Is there anything Miss Dawn J. Bennett would like to personally say on her behalf?
No, Your Honor.
After 9 days of trial, a unanimous jury decision has been reached. The jury finds Miss Dawn J. Bennett guilty on all 17 federal charges. We will gather on July 31st, 2019 for Miss Dawn J. Bennett's official sentencing. Court dismissed.
Dawn's lawyer obviously tried to pull out all the stops here. He played the startup card, the family card, the Dawn character card, the woman card, and although he tried to use all of these cards to build a compelling case, the facts just weren't in Dawn's favor, and she knew it too, and she was running out of people to blame.
guilty on all 17 counts? This is fucking ridiculous! Why the fuck am I paying you? We need to deny here. I'm a victim. This is crazy. We have to appeal this. The system is taking advantage of me.
Don't worry, Dawn. We'll talk after your sentencing, okay? I have a plan.
I'm getting really fucking sick and tired of your plans, Lawyer 10. Do you think that you could just take me for a ride here? I'm the fucking head honcho of plans, okay? I see through your fucking bullshit. You know why? Because I'm the fucking queen of bullshitting, okay? So you better fucking...
Dawn, let's reconvene when you're, a little more calm.
Don't you fucking dare tell me to fucking calm down. Why the fuck don't you calm down? You understand what the fuck is going on right now? I'm going to go to fucking prison! I don't think you'd appreciate someone telling you to calm down if you are fucking going to prison! Are you fucking kidding me? You hung up?
And finally, the day arrives. Dawn's big day. The day she got sentenced. July 31st, 2019.
The district court determines that Miss Dawn J. Bennett's advisory sentencing guidelines range between 324 to 405 months of imprisonment. Can the government please make their recommendation?
We recommend a below-guideline sentence of 300 months or 25 years of imprisonment.
Thank you. Would the defendant please make their recommendation?
Your Honor, as our client participated in non-violent crimes, we believe it should be a minimal charge. Our recommendation is that a 3-year punishment would be sufficient.
Just to clarify, the guidelines are between 324 to 405 months of imprisonment, and your recommendation is 3 years or 36 months?
That is correct.
After evaluating the relevant statutory sentencing factors, the district court finds Dawn J. Bennett convicted of 17 financial crimes and sentenced to 240 months of imprisonment, followed by 5 years of supervised release. We decline to impose a fine, finding absolutely no justice in a fine when the money can otherwise go to the victims. We hereby finalize the preliminary order of forfeiture and impose restitution in the amount of $14,504,290, making the entire restitution amount payable immediately so that the government could apply the forfeited assets to the restitution. Court dismissed.
Wait, may I please make a statement?
Dawn, we didn't plan anything.
Please, I would like to say something.
You may proceed.
As I stand before you, I've caught a glimpse of the remaining years of my life. And I swear on oath that if I'm released, I will live the rest of my years paying back my note holders. I would bear public testimony to them. I would be an improved person. I would help more children in need, and I would strive to make whatever world in which I found myself better for them and my family. The work required to square my moral and ethical responsibility to continue to repay loans that were given to djbennett.com are a priority still. And yes, I know the mental scars are there for good. But if I can get released from prison and start working to pay restitution, then the victims can begin living again. And that's all I want. That would be the triumph, and the only triumph for my emancipation. I am so profoundly humiliated that it will be difficult to shake off.
Is that all?
Yes, that is all.
Court dismissed.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from Dawn J. Bennett, an inmate at Chesapeake Detention Facility. To accept charges, press 1.
Lawyer 10, was this your big fucking plan? I'm sentenced and now what, I gotta go to jail? I can't go to jail. This isn't part of my plan. You have to fucking appeal. Now.
Dawn, I think that might not really work.
I don't give a fuck what you think. You clearly don't think, or we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. We're filing an appeal.
Right. Okay. We can do that if you want.
And I want it done ASAP. They have so many things to contend. They disallowed all of our motions to continue. This criminal forfeiture order is insane! This whole thing is horrible, and they've targeted me, an innocent victim of the system. Something has not been right about this entire process, and I need it rectified ASAP. Are you listening, Lawyer 10?
Yes, I am. I am taking notes. We'll raise 3 issues in our appeal.
Now you're fucking getting it. Let's hear it.
First point, like you said, we'll contend the district court erred by denying us our August 29th, 2018 continuance motion. Second point, we'll argue the criminal forfeiture order, which is legally deficient and unconstitutionally excessive. And third point, we'll contend that your sentence is procedurally and substantively unreasonable.
Damn fucking right it is.
So let's break this down. Point number 1. The contention that the district court erred by denying Dawn's August 29th, 2018 continuance motion. Specifically, she contends that the denial of the continuance request forced trial counsel to proceed to trial without adequate preparation. So, they reviewed the denial of a motion for continuance for abuse of discretion, and it was found that after review of the record, the district court's decision was neither unreasonable nor arbitrary. This was not Bennett's first change of counsel. In fact, she changed counsel multiple times, frequently switching between retained counsel and the Federal Public Defender's Office. Noting Bennett's revolving door of attorneys, the district court explained that it would be unfair to the government and the court to undo a trial schedule set after carefully considering the schedules of all involved in setting the date simply because Bennett made another change in her legal team.
Changing lawyers seriously did not help Dawn.
It didn't. In fact, the district court saw what she was trying to do, which was delay the trial. And so, they stopped it.
Okay, but wasn't Dawn given forfeiture and restitution? What's the difference?
Good question. Restitution seeks to pay back money or property actually taken from victims. Criminal forfeiture, on the other hand, seeks to penalize the defendant for any gains resulting from or used in illegal conduct. Essentially, Dawn's lawyer argued that because she didn't have the money, she shouldn't have to pay a penalty or forfeiture. They completely disregarded the fact that the court ordered the entire restitution amount payable immediately so that the government could apply the forfeited assets to the restitution.
But didn't they also decline to impose a fine because there's absolutely no justice in a fine when the money can otherwise go to the victims?
That's right. Point number 1 of the appeal was thrown out. But let's skip point 2 for a second and move into her third argument, contending that her sentence is procedurally and substantively unreasonable. When this was investigated, the district court argued that they were well within their reason. In a case like Bennett's, the district court guidelines recommend a life sentence, which she did not get. Certain factors, such as her health and the nonviolent nature of the crimes, mitigate in Bennett's favor. However, other factors cut against Bennett, such as the devastating impact of her serious offenses and her failure to accept responsibility for her actions. It was found that the district court thoroughly addressed the factors, ultimately varying downward from the guidelines range.
Yeah, okay, but what about point number 2 from her appeal?
The criminal forfeiture order of $14,306,842 against Miss Dawn J. Bennett is legally deficient and unconstitutionally excessive. Specifically, there is no statutory basis for the forfeiture.
Dawn's lawyer's main argument for this piece was that Bennett did not have sufficient assets to satisfy the forfeiture judgment, and that the forfeiture judgment improperly interferes with her ability to pay restitution in violation of United States Code Section 3572. And the forfeiture judgment is unconstitutionally excessive in violation of the 8th Amendment.
She claims the forfeiture order will prevent her from satisfying her restitution obligations.
Exactly. But the court found that the fact that Bennett did not have sufficient assets to satisfy the forfeiture judgment is insufficient to render the judgment unconstitutional. But really, it's just an extension of don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Paying is a version of doing the time.
All right, so what about that whole, 8th Amendment part?
Dawn argues the criminal forfeiture is unconstitutionally excessive under the 8th Amendment. The 8th Amendment provides excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. After much back and forth in digging into the excessive fines clause, that has roots in the Magna Carta, by the way, an important piece of information was brought to light. It required that economic sanctions be proportioned to the wrong and not be so large as to deprive an offender of their livelihood. Following that standard, after reviewing the record, no error was found. In fact, it was brought to light that based on the guidelines, the district court could have imposed a fine of more than $28 million, which they did not. The forfeiture amount was directly derived from the amount of funds fraudulently obtained by Bennett. Long story short, the entire appeal was thrown out the window.
No! No, please! Please don't leave me here! I'm innocent! I'm fucking innocent! This is a mistake! I'm not supposed to end up here! You come back right now! Come back right fucking now! I demand you release me! Right fucking now! I cross and cover you! Come under my command!
Dawn and her manipulative tactics are locked up for good.
Wow. And what happened to Brad?
Brad never testified against Dawn. On June 18, 2018, Brad Masho pled guilty to conspiracy to commit securities fraud in violation of United States Code Section 371 and making false statements in violation of United States Code Section 1001 before the United States District Court for the District of Maryland. On August 28, 2019, a judgment in the criminal case was entered against Masho. He was sentenced to 30 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release in order to make restitution in the amount of $4,824,131. He was also barred from association with any broker, dealer, investment advisor, municipal securities dealer, municipal advisor, transfer agent, or nationally recognized statistical rating organization, and from participating in any offering of a penny stock, including acting as a promoter, finder, consultant, agent, or other person who engages in activities with brokers, dealers, or issuers.
30 months means he's out now.
So, where is he now?
Your guess is as good as mine. His LinkedIn profile is quiet, and he stayed out of the news.
Maybe he got a new gig with all those restitution payments.
Sure hope so. Meanwhile, Dawn is now in year 5 of her 20-year sentence for her conviction on all 17 federal charges, including conspiracy, securities fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, and making false statements on a loan application. Ultimately, Bennett convinced 46 individuals to invest over $20 million in the website. She only repaid a little over $6.1 million, with most investors never being made whole. The victim impact statements and testimony demonstrate that many lost their life savings, had to delay retirement or sell their homes, and were unable to pay for medical or educational expenses for their children. The district court thus found that Bennett's crimes were serious and long-running, complex and highly orchestrated, and devastating to generations of investors around the country.
I would like to see the maximum sentence imposed. She betrayed my trust, the trust of my family, and the trust of many others here. And she basically played us all for fucking fools.
Dawn went through our many events in life. Births, deaths, celebrations, retirements. We never had any reason to doubt her advice, although many times it was above our head. Risk statistics and how the changes would enhance our portfolios.
I am not an experienced investor, and Dawn knew that. I'm 65 years old. I've been seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist for recurring suicidal thoughts because of her.
Dawn has ripped us all up. Our lives are destroyed, and she didn't care if I had cancer. She took advantage of me. I hope she rots in jail. Dawn is pure evil and deserves everything she gets.
Unfortunately, a financial advisor taking advantage of their clients is a tale all too common. But the real story here goes beyond the balance sheet. What ultimately led to Dawn's victims finally getting the justice they deserved were the actions taken by a few ethically minded and financially literate people who were skeptical enough to pay attention. A bank teller with concerns over an elderly woman wiring her life savings. the investigators who put in the due diligence that had been neglected by so many others, or a victim willing to put themselves back in the line of fire to prevent others from sharing the same fate. Dawn did some terrible things, there's no doubt about that. But how many of you would have been able to sniff out her deception from the beginning? You see, everyone is prone to missing red flags, but being professionally skeptical, educating yourself, and performing your due diligence can help. It took ethical individuals stepping up and using their knowledge to make a difference. With financial crimes happening every day, impacting millions of people, it is more important than ever that accountants, those who speak the language of business, step up. Numbers tell amazing stories if you just know how to read them. As future accountants, you all are uniquely qualified to be the ones that society turns to save the day. All right, that's all for today.
Thanks, Professor Pope. This really was a masterclass in how not to get away with fraud.
I'm glad you thought so.
I was thinking about it, and on second thought, I think accounting is maybe a good fit for me. I guess I just didn't realize you could do all this with an accounting background. I mean, I assumed the FBI had accountants, but, I thought they were just closing the books. So I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think I'll be switching my major after all. See you next semester, Professor Pope.
See you next semester. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Fraud Files, hosted by me, Kelly Richmond Pope, and produced by FloQast Studios. A full list of the talented cast and crew that brought this story to life can be found in the episode description. If you found the show enjoyable, share it with your friends and leave a positive review. All of your feedback is greatly appreciated. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.